I've got a recipe to share with you for some homemade flatbreads. These are super quick to make, taste amazing, and you can have them with all sorts of different meals. You can have it with a curry, you can have them with soups, stews, and they're just really, really tasty. I really love this recipe. So the first thing I'm going to start with is some flour in a bowl. All of the amounts that you'll need are you'll find written up. I'm doing a slightly smaller amount because for the sake of showing you how to make it, I don't need to make 8. So this should probably make about 4, depending on size. So I've got 175 grams of flour in the bowl, and I've actually only got plain flour here. The recipe asks for self-raising, so I'm going to put an extra teaspoon of baking powder into my flour before I've even started to make my plain into self-raising. So I've got baking powder here. So I'm going to add an extra bit of baking powder into there to make it into self-raising. If you are unsure about your flour, you can comment and ask a question, and I can answer it for you. So the next thing that's going to go in, imagining this is self-raising flour, is some baking powder. So I'm going to go in with half a teaspoon of baking powder, because I'm doing half a recipe, and a pinch of salt. And then I've got here some nigella seeds, but they're also called black onion seeds. I'll just show you what they're like in my hand. If you use these, if you put these in your flatbreads, it will give it like a naan bready quality. And so they're really good to put in if you have them. I'm not actually going to put them in mine today, but you can if you want to. So the next thing I'm going to go in with is an equal amount of yoghurt, plain natural yoghurt, to flour, 175 grams. If you are dairy free, you could make this with coconut yoghurt or soya yoghurt or a different dairy free yoghurt alternative. So I'm going to pop that in with my flour. You can make these flatbreads as well to have with dips, to have with hummus. It tastes really good. And then I'm going to stir the yoghurt into the flour. And actually, while I'm doing that, for the sake of the demonstration, I'm going to start thinking about getting my pan on. It can just sometimes take a little while to heat up, but at home, wherever you are cooking, you can take your time with heating up the pan. I'm just going to get mine going now. So I'm going to get that over a medium to high heat. And I'm going to carry on stirring my yogurt into the flour. And when it starts feeling like it's getting quite thick and it's coming together, I'm going to get in there with my hands to just finish forming it into a dough. I'm just going to squidge it together with my hands a bit. So I'm just folding it over in the bowl with my hands until it comes together into a dough. Picking up all those little bits of flour off the bottom of the bowl as well. Until you end up with a dough that looks a little bit something like this. So it's a little slightly sticky. It's not unhandleably sticky, but it's certainly not dry. It's still quite sticky, but it's come together as a nice firm dough. And what you're going to need is hang on a sec, what you're going to need is a little pot just with some flour on, just to help when it comes to rolling them out, because if they're a little bit sticky, they might be a bit tricky to work with. So I'm going to put a little bit of flour onto my work surface. Check how my pan's getting on. That's getting nice and hot. You don't want to add too much extra flour, because any flour that gets left on the flatbreads will end up burning in the pan and making a really terrible smell. And also, it doesn't taste that good when it's got lots and lots of excess loose flour on. So just try and use just what you need to stop it from sticking. So I'm gonna cut my dough into 4. You can make slightly more if you wanted them smaller. And I'm going to cut out my dough. You could use a rolling pin, but I just think I like to use my fingers and my palm of my hand to flatten it out. So you want these fairly flat. If they're too thick, they won't cook properly in the pan, and they'll remain doughy in the middle. So they'll get really dark on the outside and then still be doughy and unpleasant in the middle. So let me show you how thickly I'm rolling these out. Something like this. So they're fairly thin. They will puff up a little bit in the pan because you've got that baking powder in. And what I'm going to do, just to help with the cooking as well, I'm going to do some cuts down the middle. So I'm not going all the way to the edge, I'm just cutting like holes in the middle. So however many you can get in there, maybe. I'm going to do 4 on this one. That's just going to help the bread to cook really, really evenly. And then when you're happy that your pan is nice and hot, your frying pan is going to be dry, you're going to pop your flatbread into your dry frying pan. You see in there? And then while that one gets started with the cooking, you can start to roll out your others. So I'm just pushing it down with my fingers, a little bit of dusting flour. I'm going to turn up the heat on my pan a little bit. You do want it fairly hot. Okay. And don't worry about it being perfect size, perfectly round, perfectly oval, perfectly whatever. Just you do whatever you like. So I'll do the cuts again. So as this cooks, you'll start to see that it starts to puff up ever so slightly. And it's starting to make a little bit of noise in there now. I'm going to roll out my other. And if you want, you can start to have a little look on the bottom of the one that's gone in the pan. What we're aiming for is a quite deep golden brown colour. I'll show you when it's done what it's going to look like. So you can see that's starting to smoke a little bit now. So I'm just going to lift up, have a little look underneath, and I'm going to flip that over now. I don't know if you can see in there what colour that's looking like, but it's got golden brown colour all over it. I'm going to flip it over to go the same on the other side. And if you want to, you could put, if you've got one that the shape will allow, you can put another one in the pan next to it to get that one going. So the recipe that's typed, the ingredients list that you've got will make 8 flatbreads of this size. Turn that up a little bit. Flattening that out, and I'm going to do my scores again. And I can check the other side of my flatbread now. I can give it a little poke. Gently have a little look at the other side. Oh, that's starting to look really nice. So can you see that it's starting to get that nice dark brown colour on it? I'm going to leave that on for a bit longer. flip my other one. And you're looking for that nice deep golden brown colour on both sides. Okay, I'm back. Just turning the extractor on, it's starting to get a bit smoky. Flip that over. Oh, it's looking wonderful. Flip it over again. Can you hear that? It's come on now, the old extractor fan. I'm going to set off the fire alarm. So, turn that off for a sec so I can show you. Once it's nice and golden brown on both sides, I'll just come up a little bit closer. It's ready. So this is what you're looking for on both sides. Okay, the other side got a little bit brown when I was putting the extractor on, but that's just going to taste really good. And I can carry on with the rest of them now. So these flatbreads taste really, really, really good with just as they are straight up, or you can make a bit of garlic butter by melting down some butter and putting some chopped up garlic and maybe some parsley through it and brushing that on at the end. That tastes really good too. And go with the next one. And if you're not sure if it's cooked in the middle, you can always just break a bit off and have a look inside. And I'm satisfied that that's cooked. It doesn't look at all doughy. It's nice and soft. Tastes really good. Oh, that's so good. So there we go. That was our quick flatbreads. Hope you enjoyed.